folks, this is a show you're going to want to replay over and over again. When the best political tag team shows up on JKLive, you know they are waxing lyrical. That's right. And I remember the phrase I was thinking of before when I said Shakespearean. It was the theater of the absurd. Right? Prof, is it absurd?
Theater of the Absurd by Soren Kierkegaard.
And Albert Camus.
And Albert Camus.
Yeah.
And Franz Kafka. Those were the leading thinkers of that generation.
That's right. Yes. And Prof, we are walking into this eyes wide open, aren't we? Walking into this.
You know, there is something that is tragic about this. Tragic in the sense that we are walking with the delicacy of sleepwalkers. And it is Albert Einstein who famously said that you keep on doing things the same way and you expect a different result, then that is classical stupidity. My words to make a point that he made. And this is where we are at. And when you talked about transition, when you talked about the change, what one expected, particularly when we came up with a new political dispensation, is that we would have a process which would be midwifed in a manner that would deliver results which would be informed by the democratic participation of the people. But what has happened in Kenyan politics is there are few individuals who, as I said a little earlier, have succeeded over the years in hypnotizing their ethnic constituencies, have captured Kenyan politics. And there is something that I think has been said times without number. These are politicians who suffer from the Jehovah complex or the God complex. And we are also to blame. We are co-authors of our misfortune. Yeah. We are told if one of our own is the president, then that is our Shangri-La. So that each ethnicity is struggling to produce their own as the president. And it's a cutthroat competition in which throats are actually cut. And we saw throats cut in the year 2007. We saw throats cut in the year 2017, 2018. And if we are not careful, permit me, and I hope I'm wrong, to do the work of prophets without the gift, if we continue on this trajectory, then what we saw in 2007, 2008, and 2017 may happen again. I pray on a daily basis that I am wrong. But you see, when you see the same individuals, and this is perhaps the tragedy of this country, when I listen to each one of these individuals, and I know them reasonably well in the public agora, telling me that this time round we are going to deliver as we never delivered before, I believe them not, because I've heard this monotonous sing-song for the last 2 decades. These individuals have been in government. Either they served under Daniel Moi, they served under President Kibaki, they are serving under Uhuru Kenyatta. They have had the opportunity to work out the magic that they now say they will work. They'll say, we were never president. It doesn't matter. If you want to demonstrate to us how good a dancer you are, you show us during the rehearsals. And during the rehearsals, we have not seen great dancers.
Barack, what is it about us? Is it too much democracy? Is it too much education? Are we too free? Because, you know, if you insult the head of state like people do on a daily basis, can you imagine that in other countries around our region?
It is sheer irresponsibility, and I want to take it right from where he leaves it. He prays and hopes that he's wrong, but I fear that he's right. I fear that he's right because from your idiom of the theater of the absurd, and I've said that before here, it is the Sisyphine curse, the myth of Sisyphus, the individual who is condemned by the gods to keep on pushing this massive rock up the mountain. And each time he gets to the top of the mountain, the angel of mischief kicks and rolls it back to the foot of the mountain. And Sisyphus must go back to the foot of the mountain to push up the rock again, knowing very well that when he gets to the top of the mountain, the angel of mischief will push it down again. Albert Camus concludes that Sisyphus must be presumed to be happy about his circumstances. I don't think that we are overly educated. In fact, we are not. When we were voting in the referendum that gave us what was adjudged easily the most progressive constitution in the world in 2010, many of us said so-and-so has read, and therefore it's a good constitution. It's an indication that in that zombic existence, we never really got to understand what it was that we were voting for. And today, when someone tells us, let us again tinker with it, let us change 74 articles of this constitution, we still come forth and say, so-and-so, the Messiah has said, so let us go and do it. And if we are told by somebody else, let us not do it, we also say, the Messiah has said, so let us not do it. In terms of education, it is inadequate. Perhaps one of the things we needed to have done was to institute continuous constitutional education from the moment that we promulgated the Constitution on the 27th day of August 2010. We ought to have made it a continuous preoccupation. And perhaps somebody must have thought that IEBC would, among other things, be dealing with that. But IEBC is within the narrow space of elections and boundaries and things that pertain to democratic institution and constitution of government and transfer of power. We need something much broader that keeps us consciously educated about even government, about this whole notion of democracy. Sometimes we think that democracy is going to the ballot box and casting the vote. Democracy is broader than that. Democracy is about equal access, or equitable at the very least, access to the opportunities in the country. It's about knowing that the people who go to government do not go there to eat. PLO uses the expression that they have served. I beg to differ slightly. They have eaten. They ate under Kenyatta, they ate under Moi, they ate under Kibaki. In fact, when Kibaki came to power, people were very ostentatious. They said things like, it is our turn to eat. And so when you get there, Jeff, I've sat on this bench, and we floated the notion of prebendalism. And some people got mystified by the idiom of prebendalism rather than what sits behind it. Prebendalism, that belief that one of the foremost benefits of being in government is the opportunity to make personal gain that is not merited. That access, it's an opportunity to access the fat of the nation. And a lot of this wrestling that we are seeing in government today is really not about service. It's about who is eating what, who gets which tender, how much is looped on top of that tender, and who goes lapping it and benefiting with their cronies. It's not about you and I. And so going forward, because we may also lament a little too much.
Yeah. Hold that thought, Barack, hold that thought just for a moment. Because when you look at the Uhuru succession now, Prof, it's the usual suspects. It's the usual suspects. Look at the lineup. Look at the coalitions being formed.
You know, Jeff, at one time, Barack and I deluded ourselves.
We were young and
impressionable, and we deluded ourselves that we've got to throw our hearts in the arena, and we did. I went with Barack to his rural home in Emmanuelia, and we walked in the streets of Huisero there, and he was looking for votes, and I saw a little child ask him, "Barack, we want money." And I told him.
And he called me an idiot.
He said,
him an idiot. If you're not giving us money, you're going to lose, idiot.
So, and I give that example because many are apt to say you are in the business of paralyzing yourself through unnecessary analysis. You are in the business of criticism. The problem that we have in our politics as it is now, and I dare say we will go through at least 2 more election cycles before it goes back to proper factory setting, is that we have individuals who have refused to leave the stage. And this is not only the tragedy of Africa or Kenya, but also the tragedy of Africa. It's the Baganda who said that no matter how good a dancer you are, you must know when to leave the stage. The individuals that you are mentioning, I will not name them because they are known. They danced in 1992, we saw them dance. They danced in 1997, we saw them dance. They danced in 2002, we saw them dance. They danced in 2017, we saw them dance. They are saying they are going to dance even better in the year 2022. I do not believe them, but they'll dance nevertheless. And we, the populace, are also part of the problem. We are co-authors of our own misfortune. When I see professionals being assembled under ethnic banners, under the glare of the media, Mount Kenya, Kambas, Coast, Luo, Luhyas, marginalized groups, then you know that Kenya is an orphan. And to the extent that Kenya is orphaned, it is only those who have received a seal of approval from their ethnicities that can be on the dance floor. They will be there. And as I said at the very beginning, we are between the Scylla and the Charybdis. We can only extricate ourselves if we make the conscious decision to demand more, to ask of the current political class that we are tired. And it can happen in the twinkling of an eye, or it cannot happen. It happened during the Arab Spring. It happened in Sudan. It happened in Mali. And if we are not careful, it could very well happen, because I see enough young men and women out there asking the question, the things you are telling us now, do you think that we have the memory of a warthog, that we do not remember that you told us this 5 years ago? They are asking. When I see the borders being used and misused across the political divide, are they not asking these questions? So I hear you, Jeff Koinange, musing over your nation as I do. But we, for the moment, find ourselves in these difficult places. It started, I remember, as a young graduate, it was Ford. It was Ford Kenya, it was COD, it was NASA, it was Jubilee. All these formations, but the contents are the same. The packaging may change to delude you and I, but it remains the same.
Yeah.
Until the day that we wake up, nothing dramatic is going to happen. But yet, our duty, even in the face of this unfortunate reality, is to keep up our voices alive, even when they'll not be heard at their most eloquent. Let history record one day that amidst this gloom, there was a glimmer of fearless statements telling us, proceed not, they are the very same.
Gentlemen, that's deep stuff, deep stuff. In fact, I've just thought of a phrase right now. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose.
Louis the 14th. Ça peut changer, ça les mêmes choses.
My goodness. I told you you're going to replay this over and over again. Plus ça change, plus c'est
la même chose.
La même chose. The more things change, the more they remain the same. My goodness. Folks, let's take a break. We'll come back, plenty more ahead. Don't even touch that dial. So much more ahead. This is the real state of the nation, right here on JKLive. Back in a moment.